It's on air. Okay, so we're live now.
We are live.
And can you hear the baby in the background?
Yes.
Okay. Is it because I can mute myself when I'm not talking?
Yeah. Maybe that will be not the
Yeah, that'll probably be a good idea. Let me see where it is. Oh, we can wait until someone shows up.
It's a good start for a webinar. A little bit of child screaming. It's good. Give some authenticity to the whole thing. Yeah. So far it's just attendees. Currently one attendee. I guess if somebody else is here, please chat with me, and yeah, we'll see. Oh, Sam is here. Hi, Sam. Perfect. Janina is here. Hello, Janina. Eva is here. Okay, cool. So we have 5 attendees. Let's wait till we, for the people who already signed up, you see I drew a heart for you guys. And a little welcome. So yeah, that's the service you get. 6 attendees. Cool. Very nice.
Yeah, basically, we're doing this on very short notice to really get a first test, a first tryout, and see what happens. It's actually one of the biggest things that successful people have in common is that they use speed of implementation. They take action as fast as possible after making a decision, instead of waiting for things to be perfect or trying to prepare for things to be perfect. But usually what happens is that a lot of times doing it like this, a little bit more freely and free-flowing-ish, it tends to become a lot better than once you have a polished thing all ready and stuff.
Yeah, let's get to 10. Let's get to 10 attendees. That will be fucking amazing. Come on. Come on. We have 9. We have 9. That's very good.
All right, man. So let's roll.
Should we roll? Yeah, 10. We
Absolutely.
got it. 10. Very nice. Okay. Hello and welcome, guys. It's beautiful to see so many names on the list. It's our first webinar that we're gonna do. So you're basically our guinea pigs a little bit. So we're gonna try stuff out in here. We prepared some stuff. We didn't prepare too much. We want to be have this as like a free-flowing session. The topic is the power of honesty in business and lifestyle. And what I can tell you right now is that I'm a little bit nervous. I can feel that nervousness in my chest here, in my belly a little bit. So that's basically the topic of today. And yeah, maybe today we're going to be with Michael Lawson. He's a marketing expert, but also a mental coach. So the two of us will discuss. I would like to start with like maybe telling a few words about myself. Most people, as I can see here, know me a little bit, so I won't take too long. And after that, we'll go into Michael's journey, about what Michael has to say about himself, and then we'll dive right into the topic, if that's cool for you guys. If you have any questions, you can actually do the questions on the right side. You have like this little webinar jam kind of thing, toolbox, where you can chat. And I've seen right now, I just went into the chat, and you already have a lot of things like, hi guys, hey guys, thank you so much for the heart, you're welcome, Marcel. So I can see that stuff, and I will go through it. If you guys have questions, if you want to interact, please do so. That's the reason why we're doing this. It's the most important stuff, is that you guys ask us questions and we try to answer them. We probably won't have all the answers, as I already said in the video, but we'll try our best. One of the guys that is joining us is, for example, also a psychologist. You've seen him on the page. It's Yasha. He will also support us just by writing stuff, because he's also using radical honesty or honesty in psychotherapy. So yeah, let's dive into it.
And actually, before you get started, let me share as well how I'm feeling.
Okay.
We actually joked a little bit about it before we got started, because I'm not nervous at all, and that's not a bad thing. Some people say that it's good to have a little bit of nervousness, but really it's because, one, that I've done these hangouts before, and two, I know no matter how severely I will fuck something up tonight, I know that I have the power to learn from it and to grow from it.
Cool.
And that's something that's ultimately very important for me. So,
Yeah.
you know, what's to most people would be worst case scenario is something where I literally will go, that's interesting. That means room for improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that you can train, and you can actually train it by taking action a lot. Just do it over and over again and learn that failure is nothing else than a success, that you can take something from it. Yeah, very true. Okay, cool. So my name is Kat Christen. I'm the founder of the Lifestyle Design Convention. You guys maybe have seen it. You can all go to www.lifestyle2015.com. You can find all the details about the event there. I just updated it there. Michael wrote it as well, so we have it double there. That's perfect. Or it shows it as me, as him. I don't know. Anywho, and yeah, so I basically am the organizer of this event, where we bring people together who want to get more out of their lives, as the claim says, who want to design the life of their dreams. That's one thing that I do. We'll get more into the event later. The other thing that I do coaching. You could call it life coaching. It's a help to people to find out what their passion is on the one side, and then also what we discussed before, like really take action and do it, which is the most important part. To get us, as we said before, from a dream to ambition. We'll dive into that a little bit later. And
also, by the way, let me just add this one thing that we actually discovered earlier when we talked, is that this will also function as a pre-training for the convention, because the thing is that if you're designing your life based on a foundation of anything but honesty, you're really setting yourself up for at least a curveball and probably years of struggle or regret at the end.
Yeah, cool. Cheers. Yeah, and the third thing I am doing is I'm doing sales trainings, communication trainings, and leadership trainings, where I'm focusing on little groups of 12 people maybe that I do. That's like my main job that I do, where I help people in those three areas. Yeah, that's about me. Maybe, Michael, you want to say a few things?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. Like Kai mentioned, I do both work as a marketing consultant, a marketing expert, and also as a personal development or mindset optimizer or coach, whatever you want to call it. And basically, for a number of years, I sort of had a little bit of a struggle that I didn't feel that I could go out into the public and talk about the fact that I did both, because I thought it would confuse people. And then someone came along in the industry called Brendon Burchard and basically showed that, hell yeah, you can do that. And not only is people going to like that, they're going to love the combination. And very briefly, I started out with doing personal development. Learned to remove a phobia in a couple of minutes by doing an exercise that later turned out to be the wrong exercise, but it worked anyway. And then I started getting results with people, and I found out that it wasn't just enough to be really good at what I did. You also need to know how to present yourself, how to market yourself, and ultimately how to sell yourself. So that's how I came to the sort of having spent 10,000 hours in both fields.
Cool. Yeah. And it's interesting how we met, actually. We got connected through a guy. He's called Morten Haake, Hakre, written. A really cool dude who's doing a similar thing that I do in Norway, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's called the Morten Haake Summit, also a self-improvement summit. And he connected us together. And what we found is that we both were at the point in our lives where we were really connected to honesty. And I think Rich Schefren, is that his name?
You mean my mentor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he recommended you the book, right? Or he talked about it a little bit, or who was that?
Yeah, it was funny because I think it was on a Thursday. I had a private talk with him, and we got to talk about radical honesty because he had just read that book. And I had just read another book called Business Brilliant, which talked about the fact that many billionaires are very open about their flaws, and they actually like to talk about them and almost feature them, compared to a lot of millionaires who try to hide their mistakes at all costs sometimes. And we had a great chat about the honesty thing, and how important it is and why, and we'll get to that later. And then the funny thing was that I got in touch with you the day after. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool that everything got together. Yeah, so basically, Michael and I sat together and we made a deal where he said he really wanted to help me out with the marketing of the convention. And we said, I'm going to pay him exactly the amount for at the beginning as the most expensive ticket is at my convention. So to also that I can really stand behind in saying that I really invested that amount of money also in not in my improvement directly, but in the improvement of what I want to do. And I think that's really an important point for me, that I actually stand behind the amounts of money that we charge for tickets and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and also what it shows, it demonstrates one of the most fascinating principles that I've ever seen and experienced, and heard both from business people who are extremely spiritual. I mean, to the extent that they are hugging trees and
Cool.
and whatever is more in that direction.
So please hug trees, people.
and those who are hardcore skeptics with anything spiritual, but they both have the same experience, that what they phrase it quite often is that the hole that you give through is also the hole that you receive through. And that's why I suggested that we should be open about figures. We should be open about what we do, why we do it in terms of marketing, and that it was fitting that the amount that you took for the most expensive option, that's also what you would be willing to invest yourself in the convention. Just like I mentioned that one of the reasons that I paid Rich Schefren $15,000 for consulting twice is the fact that I want to be willing to do that at some point. So if I haven't been willing to do that myself, it would be kind of hypocritical to expect other people to pay me that amount. So, and it's not only for financial stuff, it's just as much for, networking, your social life, that your willingness to be of value and help other people out also opens up to the extent that you will receive help from others. And I think that it's pretty beautiful, and it's pretty cool that it is that way.
Yeah, and it makes you so damn happy. Like if you start realizing that, or if you start coming from a place of abundance, where you just start helping other people out without really thinking of like, what could they give me back? It doesn't have to be perfect at the beginning, because a lot of people say, well, I still think a little bit that I want something back. Well, okay, do a sloppy job at it at the beginning, but if you start really like giving out value, and you get good at this without expecting anything back, it's amazing what you can receive.
Yes, sort of the metaphor I use is that if you plant a seed in the ground, you start to water it. If you start to dig it up fairly quickly to check if it's growing or not, you're just going to ruin it. But of course, eventually you want to make sure that something is blossoming, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to continue to water it. And somewhere in between those things is the middle ground, where it's good to have the mindset to give something, but it has to eventually be a two-way street. And sometimes I make the joke that once people figure out that it actually a lot of times is better to be the giving part, because it can be rewarding in so many ways, that it also has to go the other way around. That you can't just be a selfish prick and just give, because it has to, initiate some type of synergy effect.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so we got a little bit off topic, but it's very important, I think. Should we dive into maybe a little bit of why we chose the topic of honesty and why it is so important to be honest about things? And also maybe like put a little bit of experience of like our experiences with that whole topic in there. Would that be something for you?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, it's been it's been a very important thing for you, and one of the things you told me is that you participated in a workshop
Yes.
with the author of Radical Honesty.
Yes. So there are actually people who participated as well in the audience. I think
Oh,
quite a
cool.
few. So
Nice.
they can throw in comments if they want to. If I forget something, I'm really happy if you just interact with us. That's the reason why we do this, guys. So what I did is a course called Radical Honesty. It's conducted by Brad Blanton, a guy who wrote the book Radical Honesty, and the idea behind it is that yeah, actually, when you lie, whether you realize it or not, you're suffering quite a lot because what's happening in inside of you and what you're actually saying are two different things, and it uses a shit load of energy to always have those two things running at the same time. And when you're honest about things, you can actually connect with people. I would call it even a kind of meditation. If you're honest with people, you can connect with them on a much deeper level. And I realized that I was a lot of times dishonest to people because I wanted to please them in different kind of ways. I wanted them to like me, and I realized that one of my biggest fears is the fear of not being loved. And out of this fear, that is my story that I built out of this. Out of this fear, I tried to please a lot of people, and I felt always uncomfortable somehow because I felt always a disconnect to that person, and I really didn't like them. And it built it up, it built it up, it built it up. All this anger came, and if I would have at the moment where that person started saying something that I disliked, just like talked about it, it would have been for me so much more, yeah, so much more. I would have been so much more happy and so much more in connection with that person. And I realized I didn't do that a lot. And after some time, I realized that the main problem for me not being happy is that I lied quite often. So that's the reason why it led me to that course. And what happened during that course, the people that attended this, they can happily share their experiences. It was amazing. So like, I've never seen anything as intense psychologically as this course. Like you literally started the first day, almost everybody was crying, almost everybody was happy, almost everybody screamed, anything. So it was really like an extreme course because people really started to opening up. And the start was that everybody shared something like something that they really didn't want to share with people, right? And it was by doing that, people really saw how I thought of myself as, oh no, I cannot share anything, I will feel pathetic. And when I shared a secret, and I other people shared that as well, I saw like, well, everybody is pathetic in some ways. And that was very connecting. So like everybody is completely out of their minds sometimes. Like, well, that would be a good thing, but in their minds a lot of times. Like really, really, a lot of people have done crazy stuff in their lives, and but it's okay, you know. And by admitting that we're all human, that we all have flaws, that an incredible connection happened between all of us. We started hugging each other after like the first, second day. People started giving each other massages. Other stuff happened that was very connecting as well. So it was like it really changed. Like you were very, very close with those people immediately. And I was like, fuck, I want to have that all the time. This is amazing. And so yeah, that was my experience from that course. I went there with my mother, which probably a lot of people out there think this is a crazy idea to do a Radical Honesty course with your mother, and I agree.
Yeah, me too.
But and my mother, I imagine her to be like she suffered quite a lot, but she also had a great time at that, and our relationship improved so much by just admitting that I was pissed about some stuff that she did in the past, but I also appreciated her for so many things. But we had to talk it through in an honest way, and yeah, so I was like, fuck this. Normally, like normal psychology is nothing compared to that Gestalt therapy that we did there, and I was really a fan, and that's the reason why I basically wanted to have the first talk, the first webinar that we do about honesty. That's kind of the thing that happened.
Yeah, and so also why I suggested that this should be a pre-training of the conference is that if you have ambitions in terms of really truly designing your own life, you need to first of all be happy and ideally make a living out of whatever it is that you're happy and passionate about, because that is the ultimate way of living, is that you make a living by doing something that you're passionate about. And then you also have to be honest with yourself about what that truly is. So you're not building it on a foundation of what your parents thought you were supposed to do, or what you got influenced by friends or society or something like that. And not only that part, but what I'm excited about, and which is also why I thought that we got a good connection pretty quickly, is that's what I see the trend being in business, which I'm thrilled about, is the honesty part. Part of it is for at least some companies or persons of necessity, because of social media, for example, that things will spread very, very quickly. That's one thing, but also because I think people are looking more and more for something that's real.
Yeah.
Most people are tired of sort of the corporate image type of thing, and they want to connect with something and someone who's real. They want to know, like, and trust whoever they do business with. And also, like I was explaining to you earlier, is that what happens in most businesses is that there's the 80-20 principle, which is that it's been demonstrated across most contexts that 80% of the results that you get is determined by only 20% of the effort that you put out. So, for example, in business, when it comes to the financial gain, it's the same thing, that it's the 20% of your clients or your customers that gives you 80% of your income. And sometimes it can even be the same 80-20 within the 20. So that means that there's a lot of power in connecting with your best clients, and those clients you have to have that honesty with, because otherwise it's not going to last. So that's what for me is very exciting, that both in our private lives, in our social part of our lives, and with when we look in the mirror late at night before going to bed, honesty is so important, and it transfers also over to business part, that it becomes more and more important, and it gives you more opportunities and more flexibility if you have that honesty with yourself and with your clients.
Yeah, I agree. It's very important that you don't look at honesty only as an outside thing, kind of. It's also inside. Like, you really also have to be honest with yourself, and that sometimes crushes your ego quite hard in many cases. We will go into that topic later. What I wanted to add is you talked a little bit about the business side. What I also saw in business and lifestyle, like in personal development, also in connecting with other people, is the number one trait that I've been crafting lately. That sounds very very strange, but what I'm focusing on right now is really showing vulnerability. So really also be honest, not only about the cool parts of yourself, but actually also admitting when you're insecure, as I did at the beginning of this webinar. I really see that also as a very important part to connect with people, so they can see, well, that is also only a human being, and I can also open myself up. And I realized that, like, just lately I met a lot of people that I was honest with them from almost, like, let's say from when I was before maybe at 50% honesty, I'm now like at 70-80%, and just that increase in honesty just changed completely the way people interact with me. So, like, they open up within 10-20 minutes. I really have a honest, real conversation with them, and they can, like, really let down their masks. And this is beautiful to me, because finally you can connect from one being to another being, instead of I'm showing you how cool I am, and then you will show me how cool you are, and it's just awkward, and you're nervous and everything, but I'm not going to say that I'm nervous, and you're probably also nervous, but I cannot see it, and I think you're arrogant, and blah blah. All these misunderstandings that are created through lying are so ridiculous and so destructive, that yeah, that is for me the number one reason why I really chose to, as much as possible. I'm not always honest. Like sometimes I just lie because I'm scared of hurting people or whatever. But the more I get honest, the more I really open up, the more I show my vulnerability, the more I show that I'm just sometimes nervous, I'm sometimes feel needy or whatever it is, the more the other person can actually also open up and show their true self, and that true connection can actually be established between the two of us.
And I also got to warn you that if you have any ambitions on getting married and getting married to a woman who is going to wear dresses, you cannot ever get to 100%. I'm just saying. So.
That's actually an interesting point. I would challenge you on that part, since I had a relationship with a woman, and I actually told her when I didn't like a dress, and till today she tells me that at least she can trust me when I say something about a dress. She knows that I'm actually honest about it, and that she can actually. Yeah, that you can trust my judgment, and she really appreciates that. But the short term, and then we come to the next topic that we wanted to discuss, the short-term effect of honesty can be sometimes quite, how should I say, uncomfortable. Yeah, like you will probably get into more confrontations. But the long-term effect for the relationship will be a positive one. I can say that out of experience. But at the beginning, people will challenge you. They will try to tell you, well, you hurt me and all this, which is completely true. And it is kind of like, I'm still in this battle. I have to be honest. I'm still in this battle. Like where is it too much? And I know rationally that you should be always honest. I can feel that's kind of the truth, but I'm just not at that level yet completely. But I can just say it's as everything, it's a journey. So the closer you get to being as honest as possible, the more comfortable you will be with yourself and with other people. We got a little bit off track there, I guess.
No, but I mean, I'm 100% with you on the short term and long term, because so much of success comes through long-term thinking. And one of my favorite studies I've ever heard about was made many years ago in a university in the US, where they took a bunch of kids and put them in a playroom, and they offered them a marshmallow. They could have it right then and there. And then they offered them that if they stayed in the room and played for an hour, then they would get 2 marshmallows. And it's just such an adorable video footage where I remember there's a girl and she's looking at the marshmallow and she smells it, and then she looks at it and she just has to eat it. But then what they did is that they followed those kids for many years. I think it was 30 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And what they found out actually surprised them quite a lot, which was that the ones who were able to delay the gratification and think long term, they were doing so much better on all areas, not just financially, not just happiness-wise, not just communication-wise. It was on all areas. And that demonstrates to me that long-term thinking is really powerful. And that's what I think is the right frame to have when you think in terms of honesty, that there might be a small price to pay up front, quote-unquote, but there will be a long-term reward. And the long-term reward of happiness and peace of mind and emotional freedom, well, that's a huge thing that you should be willing to pay sometimes a seemingly high price to ultimately get to.
Mm-hmm. I would like to comment on something Armin just wrote. he wrote, "You do have to be honest always." Yeah, I think that's another should. You should be honest always. The insiders at the Radical Honesty course know that you shouldn't tell yourself that you should or shouldn't do things. But the thing is, I agree with you, Armin. I think if the picture in your mind should be, I want to be honest at all times. And if you really want to go for happiness maximization, I agree that even though it's not obvious to you, maybe in that moment, how this could be possibly have a positive outcome long term, yes, the picture should be that you really try to be honest at all times. But at the same time, don't stress out if you're not at some point. Brad Blanton said a really good thing about it. He said, "Go out, be honest, and do a really sloppy job at it." So, because it's like if you force yourself again and you stress yourself again about I have to be honest all the time, it will again create a lot of how do you say, resilience?
Mm.
Is that the word?
Oh, resistance. I mean.
Resistance.
Okay.
Yeah, and it stops being fun. But yeah, absolutely, you should be honest at all times. Yes.
I mean, two things come to mind for me. First of all, the fact is that a lot of very big businesses who have changed and improved millions, literally millions of lives, have been created through lies. Either that they were lying about, to their investors initially and things like that. So it's and this is probably where we don't have the correct answer necessarily. And my personal opinion is that it's situational. But it's a little scary to think that a lot of really great things have been created. Partially, at least, based on lies. Again, I wish I could say 100% what if that was good or not. But in a lot of cases, I think that's pretty good. The other thing is that, and I know, Kai, that you also do a lot of teaching, is that one of my earlier mentors, Richard Bandler, who created what's called neuro-linguistic programming, when he would be teaching, he tells a lot of stories. I mean, really a lot of stories, and he teaches through the stories. And I was fascinated with them. And then I think it was the third or fourth seminar I was at, he was talking about when he was in Denmark and giving a speech. And all of a sudden I realized, he's not telling the truth. He is adding on things left and right. But I realized that he was doing it for a purpose. He was doing it for a purpose of leading people through different states and get them to different solutions, ideas. So he had a very concrete purpose by doing it. Also, some of it was just to be more funny, which again is a great learning state. To make some laughter. So we can find these things where it certainly can have a payoff, and then it's up to each individual to I guess make the judgment whether that payoff is strong enough to make the compromise.
Yeah, I see your point, and I would say I think the payoff for you will be never positive if you lie. Like that guy, and that's my pure imagination, while he told those stories and was lying, he was actually suffering. Like he didn't feel comfortable with himself, even though he might create short-term value for those people. I imagine he could have even created more value if he would have been honest with them. Because
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, who am I to know that? But I imagine that to be the case, that there would have been more benefit for people. There would have been a stronger connection between the teacher, him, and the audience if he would have completely opened up that channel of honesty and yeah, maybe also vulnerability at some points. But I see that conflict sometimes in myself is like you are the teacher or you're the coach, and you think that you have to show a certain image, a certain strength, so the client trusts you. And I lately made the experience that the more I actually open up and say, well, actually at that topic I have no clue, to be honest, or I can just add something, and this actually decreased my stress level or my pain level, and it increased or the quality of the relationship that I have with the client. And I at certain subjects now I start including other coaches. I might not make the money out of it, but I can give to that coach, and that gives me a good feeling I can give to the client because I know he will get more value maybe of that other coach in this specific area, and it just makes me very happy to see that. Let me just get really quickly into the chats that are working here. Jürgen and Armin are talking about the fact that courage is an illusion, or like the courage and the fear that you often have in connection with lying. And I think it takes a lot of courage to speak the truth. It takes a hell lot of courage. I completely agree with that, and I don't think that's an excuse for not doing it at the same time.
Yeah, and on the other hand, at the same time, being honest is ultimately the easiest thing, because that means you don't have to keep track of anything. Not saying it's easy to do, but ultimately it is the easiest thing to do. It is the easiest solution.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the troubles with lying, is that people need to keep track of a lot of stories, which takes up an enormous amount of focus. And that's what I talked with Rich Sheffman about, is that my theory is that that's one of the reasons why that those billionaires, and I'm not saying that money is the only way of determining success, not at all, but this was what they studied in this example, that because they are so honest about their flaws and about their failures, is that frees up a lot of focus that they then have used in their business.
Yes, I can agree with that so much. Lying takes so much energy. Maybe people can connect with that, their 9-to-5 job, and they probably lie to their boss about what they actually did during the day, and you can feel that feeling of I'm lying, and you actually use so much energy of keeping up the illusion that you're very, very busy, that you can actually not create, and that makes you extremely unhappy. So people out there who have probably a 9-to-5 job in a big company, I would imagine you can maybe connect with that you think like, well, actually I feel like a lot of times I'm on Facebook, or I'm not really creating some stuff. I'm not worth my money. All that stuff comes in there, and it's just because they focus more on keeping up the illusion of being busy because they're scared of losing their job, their work. It's mostly out of fear, and by that, having so much of their energy taken away from them, which they could actually use to, well, if you want to say it's spiritual, to make a better world and improve everything. Michael, I cannot see you anymore.
Yeah, I know. I was just leaving my chair to turn up some light, so
I
didn't look so dark and sinister.
Yeah, you started to look very scary, I have to admit.
Well, at least you're honest about
it. All right. Maybe you want to get a little bit more into the topic. I would really like to.
Yeah, I'm
going to read through the chat, so I might not be listening to everything that you say. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the ways where I see honesty also be really important is in terms of your goals and what you're going after.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that in my work with all kinds of different clients, whether it's business or not. And the fact is that I've seen so many people building their foundation either on dreams that really wasn't their own, or wasn't really what they were truly wanting in their life, whether unconsciously or consciously. But then also another part of honesty is that a lot of people have dreams about something, but they don't have true ambition. They might talk ambition, but they don't do ambition. And it's so important to be honest about what you want and what you're willing to do to get it. Because, for example, one of the big breakthroughs I got in my life, which kind of surprised me, is that I paid quite a lot of money to be part of a huge, exclusive, etc. mastermind in the US with one of the best marketers. And I had demonstrated to him some of the things that I did, and he was very impressed. And then he asked me, he said, okay, Michael, so what level are you going for? Are you going for the Tony Robbins level? Are you going for the T. Harv Eker level? Are you going for sort of being unknown to the public, but very known and respected by a few? And it just hit me that all of a sudden that if I had to be honest with myself, I wasn't willing to aim for example, the Tony Robbins level. I was absolutely convinced I could do it if I put my mind to it, but I wasn't willing to take that responsibility and to lessen my freedom of knowing that I had to be in Barcelona 9 months from now doing a seminar here and there. That I valued my freedom and my ability to choose on a more short-term level much higher than that. And I've seen that so many times with clients that they're not honest with their, I call it the dreams versus ambition, because a lot of people have dreams about something and it's not ambitious. It's not ambition. It's more of a like, well, it would be nice to, or I would really love to, X, Y, Z, whatever it is. But it's not backed up by an honest going for it and actually taking action towards it. And the thing is that my point is that we don't all, like in my own example, have to go for the biggest possible outcome within our passion, within our career, but we have to be honest with what we're going after. And it's okay not to go after your full potential. You just have to be honest with yourself about why you're either doing it or not doing it. And I see so many people, unfortunately, fail on that level.
Yeah, and I think your fullest potential wouldn't be to go on an Anthony Robbins thing, but to do exactly what you're here for sounds a little bit cheesy, but I mean, I don't imagine that only because you're the most influential person you live up to your full potential. Who says that that Anthony Robbins lives up to his full potential? He would be actually maybe much more living up to his potential if he would do other stuff. He just reaches a lot of people.
Yeah, what happens a lot of times.
You know what I mean a little bit?
I think so.
Maybe your full potential is having beautiful kids and the family that I hear, like your kids screaming before in the background. Maybe that is your potential, you know? I mean, who says that the life of your dreams, as I call it at the convention, doesn't have to be that you're the most successful, most richest person in the world, but that you actually do with what you feel comfortable with, what you feel happy with, and what you can be honest about and say, like, well, that's actually what I love to do.
Yeah, and an interesting thing is that in my world, one of the most successful people I've ever known, a mentor of mine, and probably one of the most productive people I've ever seen in terms of how much output he has in his life and his business, he literally say himself that he thinks that he's the lazy bastard. I'm like, how could you possibly think that about yourself? But what I also think happens is that as you go further in your life, that you raise your own standards and you see more and more of what's potential. So it's interesting to me to see that even very, very successful people can be really harsh on themselves too.
Yes. Absolutely, and they have their problems exactly the same way like we have, but they just figured some ways out that maybe you haven't yet. That doesn't mean that they're so far away than you think. And I would say that's also a very important part about why I put this convention together, is to get people together and see, just make them at least see that it's possible. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have in my wildest dreams thought 3 4 years ago, when I was like studying, and I didn't see any way I could be a coach. Like I knew that the self-improvement stuff is interesting to me. I didn't see any way this could happen. And now I'm organizing a convention about it. I connect with all those cool people, and I can actually have the chance to teach other people, to help other people, to facilitate their growth, and it's amazing. And that just happened because I started automatically connecting with people who are also ambitious. And
Mm.
that's the thing a lot of times. First, I had to be honest with myself. I really wanted to be a trainer, a coach, and that was my first step that I did actually. Like, also, I saw the dream, but I also took action. I actually wrote a very emotional email to my boss now, who's my boss now, and that the taking action part, as you said, the ambition was important. And I didn't know where I don't remember when I wanted to go with this. Can you help me?
Well, what I wanted to add in with
Yeah,
what I
please
talked
do
about
so.
before is that what happens a lot of times is that people have the dreams, but they
Yeah.
also have a fear that what if it isn't possible, and that fear will actually keep them from taking the first action steps
Yes.
because they feel that
Yes.
okay, if I actually do take the action and start doing the ambition part, and it won't work, then the pain of having to give up on their dreams, whether it's actually a true one that goes deep or a more superficial one, that's too big, so they don't do it. And that's so unfortunate because it's the other way around, like we talked about in the beginning, that you have to take action because you need the feedback from that
Hmm.
action in order to see what's possible. And you also need the feedback to learn and grow and and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and and get to a point that you need to in order to get to the ultimate goal.
Yeah. And
So
it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't
no,
have to be perfect.
look
Our
at
webinar is
what we're
not
doing
perfect.
right now.
Far,
This is
far
not
from
perfect.
perfect. It's like, well, we put something together in like 2 3 or 4 days, and we just had the idea, and we'll do it. And even if we help one person, and one person thinks like, oh, that's a great thing, I want to hang out with those guys, or something, or even if we just helped, that's already goal achieved. So stop aiming for perfectionism. Nobody, you will never be able to do things perfect. And I wasted so much time of my life to try to make things perfect, to really like, oh, just amp up this a little bit, just amp up this a little bit. And our whole society is built on that illusion that everything has to be perfect. You see it in the merchandise everywhere, in TV spots everywhere. It's everything looks so perfect, and that's not the case. Actually, a lot of successful people, if you look at the way they approach things, it's just they get it done. But the way they do it, it's like maybe again the 80/20 rule. They just do the 20% that creates the 80% of the effect, and it's still better than if you don't do it. And I think that's a very important part for people out there to know, is like, you don't have to be perfect. You don't.
No, and one thing that popped up when you talked about the convention is that I also think it's important to show people in a way how little can be necessary in order to live your dream lifestyle. And I had a profound experience at a seminar in the US a couple of years ago, where we did a drill where we had to write down what would our ideal day be like, and
Hmm.
what would we like to have in our life, what type of house would we like to live in, what type of car would we like to drive, what type of lifestyle, travel, learning expenses, and something like that. And then actually add up the number, spread it out over 12 months, and then get the clarity of what that number was. And that number was a lot less than I had anticipated.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow. And then when I started to apply my own marketing knowledge and of what was possible, I realized, hey, I'm actually a lot closer than I would think. And to me, you know, I have to admit and be honest, I like nice things around me. So people, for example, like your new friend and my old friend Morten, he lives on a very low budget, but he has a huge, awesome type of life where he travels all the time. He do whatever he pleases him, and he doesn't actually work that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
there are so many different ways that you can make a living by doing what you love, and without grinding yourself down in a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and the thing is, maybe you don't have the social circle of people who facilitate that. So maybe everybody around you is working the normal 9-to-5 job. So what you need to do is to connect with people that already have that, so you can see that it's actually possible. For me, it was, for example, I met my business partner. I've seen he's self-employed. I was like, oh, that's possible. And I watched him. I could spend time with him, and I actually got into so many new things just by watching people that were successful and ambitious too. And that's the thing. You're maybe sitting in front of your computer and thinking like, well, I don't have that social network. Well, go out and get it. And that's the reason why I did the Lifestyle Design Convention, is because I want to get those people together. I really want to get people together who support each other. It's not only about the speakers. The speakers are awesome as well. Don't get me wrong. I really like them, and I have I got to know everybody there personally. It's not only about that. Much more importantly, it's about the breaks, about the connecting time that you have during such events, or other places, maybe entrepreneur organizations, where you actually connect with people who already do kind of what you want to do, and that's like the best thing. Also, what I saw, people who signed up, they're actually coaches themselves. Like as attendees, we have coaches who already signed up for it, or who digital nomads who are actually traveling the world already and having 2-3 companies, and they're managing them out of their backpack. So yeah, it's really cool. I like that very much. So that's the reason why I build up this convention, is to actually get those people together, and also for me to get to know all these awesome guys in person. Of course, that's another thing. Let me just get through the chat real quick.
Yeah, and by the way, again, in the spirit of honesty, I also have to say that if I was your business advisor, from a purely financial standpoint, I would advise you to do something else, because really what you're doing here, you're attempting to make a sale to people who, quote unquote, are smart enough to want something better in their life. And marketing and business wise, what's usually is the easiest thing to do, and the best in terms of financial way of looking at it is selling to people who have a perceived big problem that you can actually solve. So this is not what you're doing here. You're actually doing something that can improve people's lives and give them new opportunities. You're not really solving. Well, I suppose some people could be in a 9-to-5 job and really hate it and go, shit, I'm willing to do anything to get out of it. But I don't really think that's going to be a lot of the people who show up at the convention.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, because
cool.
And hopefully you're not changing course now and dropping the convention. And
yeah, I hope so too. Oh, cool. Should we get into the, like, if you guys are okay with it, if you have any questions, guys out there, girls out there, I've seen that already somebody left. I hope we were not too boring. If so, tell us honestly. And what we'll do now is, ask us questions. If you have any questions, if you have some additional comments on it, I will read them out loud. I've seen the topic of courage coming up a lot, so it takes a lot of courage, to be honest. I completely agree. We discussed that. Also, Marcel wrote, by not being in touch with what happens, by experiencing, I stay stuck in the head and make stories all the time, which is exactly what happens when you lie. You go in your mind and you start building up all those stories, and by that feeling wasting huge amounts of energies. I agree with that. What I wanted to add before we're gonna go into the last few minutes, just ask, and at the same time, I wanted to make a special offer to you guys out there who are attending the webinar. Maybe somebody of you guys actually attend this webinar for this reason. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you guys an offer. You can see, I hope you can see that offer. So what you have to do is on the upper right corner, you have to click on pop-ins somewhere, and if you click on that pop-in window, you see an offer that we have. I will also, just to be sure, share with you the link also through the chat if somebody doesn't see the offer. So what we do is we'll offer you guys who attended a discount. Interestingly enough, I chat as Mikael Larsen. I see that it only copy-pasted the beginning of the link, so I hope you just you take the link and you copy it into the window. So what you can do is, yeah.
Oh yeah, just finish it.
Yeah. So what you can do is I will share the screen with you, so you guys see how it works. It will be a little bit strange because it will go like this. You will see it right now. So what you can do is, do you see my screen now? Yeah, probably you do. What you can do is,
now they see me.
Yeah, beautiful. So what you can do now is you can go here on sign up today, or the link that I just shared, and you can click on it, and what will happen is you will actually, let me see whether I shared the right thing, you will actually get,
Oh.
Hello? I don't see it. Do you see? No.
Oh, yeah, I think it's okay. People can go to the pop-in and they can get it up on their own screen.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just while you figure that out, Marcel had a really great question, and he asked, what about selling a product that is not finished or flawed or buggy? To be honest, always, and risk losing sales. Well, you might not know that, but one of the current trends in business is called the lean philosophy, which is that you actually want to get it's called a first viable product out of the market as fast as possible, the sort of beta version, and then let the users, let the people help you design the ultimate product from their feedback. So instead of what people used to do in sort of the old days, and a lot of people are still doing, is to use 2 years on perfecting a product, and then once it's released and millions have been spent on huge ad budgets, etc., they figure out that shit, nobody wanted it. Oh damn, that's just too bad. So it's actually a strategy, and again, coming from an honest partner and say, hey, we're creating something that we think is going to be big. We put this first version out, 1.0, and would really love you guys' feedback. And up to depending on the degree of the bugginess or how well it works or functions, I think you should put it out for free in the beginning. If it's already working and will deliver results, then you can charge less than you're going to ultimately. So that what you wrote is actually part of a success strategy in business. Yeah, so it's absolutely great question.
Good. Thank you very much for answering that. I think I managed to share my screen. So what you have to do is basically what we do is a 25% off special offer. The reason for that being is because I said to myself, well, if you sign up for a webinar, you're really interested, and if you additionally to that, if you're interested in the topic of honesty, I want to have you there. So I thought I'll do this special offer. It's instead of 390 Swiss francs, 320 euros, it's 290 Swiss francs, 240 euros. So it's 25% off. What you do is you add it to the bag, you go to the shopping bag, and you go to the checkout, and that's it. Then you can insert your email, your full name, continue, and you can pay with PayPal or credit card. I guess we all did at some point online shopping in our life, so you will figure that out. That's about it for the selling. Would really appreciate you guys to be there. Again, the advantage is really the connecting with people and the speakers that you get. So that's the reason why I want to have you there. Is that we can connect together, that we can get to know each other. That would be really amazing. You will see all the speakers, everything, once again on www.lifestyle2015.com. Very important to get into is that please share with people that you know you would enhance their life if they would know about such a place, if they would know about the videos that we make. Please share it with them, because by that we said before about giving, about helping. Tell them about it, even if they not sign up for the convention, but at least they'll watch a video. They maybe get on the Facebook page, they get an inspirational thing, anything like that. That's really how you can help other people who need a kick in the ass maybe in their lives. And yeah, I will really quickly give you the link to the Facebook page so you can do that. And also,
yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of more webinars like these with some of the different speakers, and going to have Steve Paulino on and some of the others. Not only obviously talking about honesty, but really demonstrating a lot of what's possible, so people can come to these webinars and get a taste and get a good feel for a lot of the things that the different speakers are going to talk about at the conference. And then those who really wants to step up and take action and do the ambition part and really give themselves a shot at getting an understanding and an idea of what is truly possible, then they are more than welcome to show up at the conference. And really, I would say that I hope it's only the ones who are on the ambitious side that shows up, because that's going to make the dynamics really great.
Yeah,
so the
absolutely.
ones who have the dreams and all respect and best of wishes to those, hopefully they will get a lot out of the webinars, and at a later point maybe a seed have been planted so it can blossom later.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to see a repetition of this webinar, you will, or a re-thing.
Yeah, replay.
You have the replay, you have the YouTube thing here. We'll answer your question in a second, Marcel. We'll go into that. And the last thing, we talked a lot about radical honesty. I really want to share with you guys. So Brad Blanton makes a few bucks as well. You have here the link to the book of him. Really buy it. Look at it. I'm not getting any money out of this. I just think it's amazing. And yeah, it would be amazing if you would actually sign up for the convention. The 25% will be on for 60 minutes from now on. That means in like 10:30 the whole thing will go down again. The reason for that being is because I want to force you in taking action. I want you to make a decision now, so you really change your life and not postpone it and rationalize it and think, oh well, I will do it later. So we'll have it in 60 minutes. I appreciate Yasha saying that I did my hair so nicely. I really put a lot of effort in it. Thank you very much. Yeah. What is left to say?
Yeah, that's one more question from Marcel.
Oh yeah, exactly.
He says that would you be fully honest about being annoyed and angry at a potential customer or partner when meeting him or her, as in, hey, I'm resenting you for the look on your face right now, and I imagine you are an asshole that wants to screw me over. Well, that's what I would actually do. Depends on the situation. What I can tell you is that a really good idea is to be absolutely willing to sort of fire your clients if they don't live up to your expectations and to your criteria. I have on a couple of occasions actually said to clients, you know what, I don't want to work with you anymore because they haven't been willing to put in the work and do their homework. And that's very important signal to send to the outside world, but it's also to the inside that you're not just in it for the money, you're in it part of it, and it can be quite a big part of it, is the money, but it's also for the satisfaction of doing work for people who appreciate it. And once you get that on the inside, what you will radiate on the outside is going to be so much more strong, and people are going to pick that up. And it's also part of, I realized that I just said earlier that I hope that it's only going to be people who show up at the convention who have ambition. I truly believe that, and that's for me, that's a strong point, because part of going to a convention like that is that the energy is going to be great in the room, and the networking is going to be great. But saying that to in a sales message, that who it is that you want to work with and who you don't want to work with, that can be quite powerful, as
Absolutely.
well as in dating or in other areas of your social life.
Yeah. I actually was honest to you. Like I told you that I'm scared that you screw me over. I actually told that to you in I think the first or the second business meeting the first or second Skype call that we had, and it changed nothing for us. Like I set that fear. I still wanted to work with you, So it's not as extreme as in Marcel's scenario, but I actually also had some, how should I say? Yeah, I was some limitations, some anxiety of working, of just giving out money to somebody I don't really know. But and I imagine it was actually a good thing for me, because I got over it. You didn't even really were affected by it, and yeah. So I strongly believe that it's a good thing to do that. Yeah.
All right.
I guess we have a good conversation going here. What I would suggest you guys is, if you want to continue this conversation, you can do it on the Facebook page. I think it's really valuable what you guys say here. That you just transfer that to the Facebook page where we have it, where we can chat and do stuff, because we are well over our 60 minutes that we said we're gonna do, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that. I liked it very much, and I will do it again.
It's fun to do these things quickly and get them out there, and
absolutely.
When we do the next one, is it probably going to be better? I hope so. That's certainly the goal.
Let's see what Martin has to offer. We'll see.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I want to thank to all the people that were a part of it. I really love that you guys actually put something in the chat. I was like, will there be anything actually going on the side? And there is. I imagine that we will fucking crush it at the convention in January. I like that sentence. It's a good, it's a good ending sentence.
I think you're right, Charlie.
And yeah, what I have to say, he's my assistant, so he has to write that, which is good. So yeah, cool. Have a great evening, all you guys. I hope you will be a part of the convention at the 10th and the 11th of January 2015. I hope you buy the tickets. I hope you give us the money, and I hope we can give you the value for it. And it was thank you very much, Michael, for taking the time. I look forward to continuously work with you. And yeah, I wish you guys a great evening. I'm going to stop this session now and hope to see you all in person soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.